Rainy Thursday update from here in the Emergency Operations Center. I want to start with something a little bittersweet. This is the first time since we've started doing these updates that I have been able to report that we haven't lost anyone since the last update. I'm very happy about that. And I sincerely hope that I can say that again when we talk again after the weekend. It means that the work that citizens have been doing to flatten the curve is working. But I want to remind us that we've still lost 92 of our neighbors, 92 of our loved ones, 92 of our colleagues and friends in the community to this coronavirus. And we need to remember that we're not out of the woods, that this threat is still very much with us. It's also important to remember that the low numbers we're seeing in new cases right now reflect your activities and how you were managing yourself 2 weeks ago. So I'd like everyone to think about what they were doing 2 weeks ago. Keep doing that. And in fact, do a little more of that. I want to talk a little bit before I turn it over to Tom Sampson today about masks. And you've heard me say this before, but the public health advice has been, for some weeks now, has been that you should cover your nose and your mouth when you are in a place where you are going to come into contact with other people. Now, some people say it should be if you're going to be closer than 2 meters to someone else or if you're going to be indoors, but really, I would suggest that it makes sense to cover your nose and your mouth when you are going to be with other people, and I'll explain why. It's partially to protect other people from you if you happen to be an asymptomatic carrier. It's also to remind us that we are not yet in a normal place. But it also helps protect everyone around us if everyone is actually wearing one. And so I think it makes a ton of sense to do that. So the city has an instructional video on our YouTube channel if you're unsure exactly what to do. And I have here, was I going to demonstrate this, Tom, or did you want to do it? All right, well, I've got it right here, so I'll do it. So this is a mask from the wonderful group on Facebook, Mask Makers YYC, who've been making masks for people across the community. It's kind of a fancy one, but it's not all the way to a non-medical surgical mask. But it does provide some protection. And so you can use, if you know how to sew, I don't. There's patterns all over the internet for how to make these. You can just tie a bandana around your face. It's really the important thing is to cover your mouth and nose. Now, for those of you who, like me, wear glasses, you will find that the kind that have a little bit of flexible metal in them at the top are very useful because that keeps your glasses from fogging up. So you put that over your nose, you pull down the flaps a little bit, and I'm a terrible knot tire and I'm not about to do it on TV, but you tie that behind your face. That's it. Simple as that. And that little act can keep you safe and it can keep those around you safe. So, again, this is not a catch-all. It doesn't mean you don't have to keep 2 meters or 6 feet or a full-size llama or a Tom Sampson and a half away from other people. You still have to do that. But this certainly helps other people be protected from you. Now, there's a few tricks here. I'm touching it. I really shouldn't be. Wash your hands before you put it on. And then once it's on, don't touch it. So if you are doing multiple trips, multiple errands, and you're driving in between, normally your car is a safe place. I would recommend keeping it on. When you take it off, don't touch the front of it, handle it by the edges, fold it, and then put it immediately in a Ziploc bag. And if it's a cloth one like this that you want to reuse, you just throw that in the laundry when you can. If it's a disposable one, you fold it the same way and you dispose of it immediately. You don't leave it in the parking lot. But this will do something that I think will help a lot of us, and it's important for us to remember that the direction from public health, both federally and provincially, is that we should wear one. Now, my sister keeps telling me that nobody likes my urine analogies. I am not convinced. But instead of my urine analogy, I want to share something with you from Kevin Kent of Knifeware and Kent of Inglewood. He's been doing such thoughtful work around his business and how to reopen his business. And this little graphic really shows you the deal. If you're close to someone else, no, neither of the bears are masked, the risk is very high. If you are masked, but the person who is a carrier is not masked, you still have high risk. However, you can get down to a medium risk if the person who is a carrier is wearing a mask. It keeps the germs in. And then if we keep going, you'll see that the risk gets very low if you're both wearing masks. It gets low if you're both wearing masks. And it's very low if you're both wearing masks and you're 2 meters apart. And of course, if there's a wall between you, then there's no risk. So our advice to stay home as much as you can, even as we're easing restrictions, is still important advice. So we strongly recommend that you cover your face and your mouth and your nose when you're going to be out with people you don't know. And the other reason, I forgot to mention, the other reason for that is for contact tracing purposes. If you are with people you know, and God forbid somebody gets sick, it's relatively easy to figure out what the chain of transmission looks like. But if you are in a store, if you are somewhere where there are a lot of strangers, that contact tracing becomes much harder and it becomes much more difficult to isolate outbreaks. So this is important to do. So, I have a note here saying my comms guy also does not like the peeing analogies, which makes me feel like maybe I need to give more peeing analogies. Anyway, with that, as always, we're here with Chief Tom Sampson from Calgary Emergency Management. Tom?
Thanks, Your Worship. I won't add to the challenges of that. I'll just leave it alone. I'd like to remind citizens that we remain in a state of local emergency, in fact, renewed last Tuesday. So we remain in that state in response and to assist our friends in Alberta Health Services in this response to COVID-19 in Alberta. Change of topics just for a minute, and I want to talk to you about a text message scam out there that's actually quite convincing. This week we've seen this message going around. People are receiving a text saying that the City of Calgary is offering citizens money to combat the tragedy of COVID-19. This is not from us. It's a scam. And please do not respond. Criminals are exploiting COVID-19 pandemic to facilitate fraud and cybercrime. The city doesn't use a Hotmail account to communicate with you, and our corporate website is calgary.ca. Always be aware of unsolicited attempts to obtain personal information about your identity, your online accounts, or money. If I look at this message that came in, got sent to us, it says, to combat the tragedy of COVID-19, the City of Calgary offers its citizens an amount of $135.60 per month, and we're there for you. They're actually pulling off terminology that we use. They're offering a website that takes you to a website that's such trouble that our servers won't even let us go there. It invites you to call 268-CITY, so it makes it look normal, or even call 311. And at the bottom, it gives you the Hotmail account if things don't go well. These are written by the most dastardly people, if I can just say that, who would like to take your money in a time when everybody needs help. And so we don't appreciate it, obviously, but we wanted to give you the warning. I want to talk to you about transit service changes for a minute, and that service reductions for Calgary Transit continue to take effect as low ridership and revenue is being impacted. Calgary Transit continues to carry over 100,000 citizens to destinations all over the city, to work, to the grocery stores, to their medical appointments, whatever it might be. Be sure to check the website, calgarytransit.ca, for details before you head out next week. You can also download the Calgary Transit app, which my family uses. It's quite good. As you know, we've introduced rear boarding on the buses to keep people safe. We've even got seats closed down so you can socially distance better. Would encourage you, though, if you could, buy a fare, that would be appreciated. Obviously, the revenue that transit brings in provides for the service that transit gives, and without that, it makes things more difficult. I want to say that I did chat with transit before I came on today, and transit has heard from a number of large businesses in the downtown core that people are asking some of their folks to come back to work next week. And so transit may pick up, and what I know is our transit service will respond in kind if it needs to. A little guidance for the weekend, if I can, as we get ready for this, what looks like is going to be a good weekend. The last weather forecast I had good weather on both Saturday and Sunday. You'll know that the public health orders were amended for gatherings outside, and they're limited to 50 people. It's welcome news, I'm sure, to many who feel like, oh, great, we can go out there and we can hit the parks again, and you can. You do have to maintain the 2 meters of distancing, and that is quite important. And our friends, excuse me, our friends in police, peace officers, and parks ambassadors will be out there to encourage you to do the right thing. We have to stay careful and we have to stay smart with regard to our activities. And I can tell you from a personal perspective, notwithstanding the fact that I could have more people out to my backyard, I'm not doing it because I'm not ready yet from a personal perspective. So we'll all end up at moving at our own speed. Visiting parks is in small groups is okay. You can't really share food. You shouldn't be sharing food. I'll remind you that one of the larger outbreaks in British Columbia was a result of a number of dentists who all went to one smorgasbord and ended up using the same spoons. You don't think of these things sometimes, or at least I don't. And so we want you to be cautious if you're going to have a picnic out there. Picnic sites aren't bookable at this time. They're based on a first come, first served basis. We've also had some folks asking us if it's okay to go out on the river. And while you might see the river slightly inflated this weekend as a result of some of the rain that's going to occur, it is okay to go out in the river, providing that you gauge the situation when you look at it. If it looks big, if it looks more than it's been for some time, maybe you want to give it a break and let the weather, calm down the rain and hopefully have a better run on the river than you might. And I'm going to remind you that you will need to have all of your safety equipment with you when you go out on the river. Both our police service and our fire department will be out looking at the river this weekend. A reminder that Glenmore Reservoir is currently still off limits, and that's because we have it drained disproportionately down to allow for the heavy rainfall that might occur. Obviously, this weekend we'll have our peace officers, as I mentioned, our parks ambassadors and those sorts of folks out reminding people about the great way that they've been doing business and hopefully keeping everybody on track. If I can just change subjects for a minute, just to go to groundwater seepage, and it's that time of year. May 15th to July 15th is flood season for Calgary, and I want you to know a couple of things. First off, the Emergency Operations Center did conduct a flood meeting the other day, talked to all of our members, and we know that we're capable of responding to a flood if it occurs in Calgary. Our friends in Water Services have put new gates up on the Glenmore Reservoir, and it's capable of handling 25% more water. Our friends in TransAlta have got all the reservoirs drained down so that we're capable of having and absorbing a heavy rainfall should it occur. But I do want to talk to you about a couple of things that you can do. Keep your storm drains around your house free, clear if you can. If they're clogged with a bit of fall leaves or those sorts of things, maybe just do us a favor and clean it off. If you don't feel you can do that, give us a call at 311. We'll come out and we'll clean it off. If the storm drain gets plugged and you've got a heavy rainfall, it should take a little bit of time for it to drain. If it takes longer than 90 minutes, again, give us a 311 call and we'll send crews out quite quickly to try and clear that. We're dealing with a lot of seasonal requests right now, but we will be there and we will make it happen. Also, one of the things that I did was go around the house last night, make sure my downspouts are down. You want to make sure we have, if we have rain, that it gets out and away from your basement so that you don't get the seepage back into your house. That's it for me for now, Your Worship. I'll turn it back to you for any further comments.
Thanks very much, Tom. And I will warn you now that I'm going to call you back up to talk a little bit about day camps in community halls. I got that question this morning on Global, and we've had it again on the comments today, so I want to make sure we answer that correctly. But first, I want to talk about patios. So last week, City Council authorized the issuance of special licensing for temporary patios. So restaurants, bars, cafes, and stores can expand their service area so that we work our way through the province's reduced restrictions. So remember that we believe, and again, the science on this is not settled, but we believe that outdoors transmission is more difficult than indoors transmission. So we want to give people the opportunity to do more things outdoors. And we also want to give restaurants the opportunity to expand their capacity because they are limited to 50% of their capacity. So if they can have more capacity with appropriate physical distancing in place, then that may be an opportunity for some restaurants to be able to survive, frankly, under these restrictions. We have 40 applications in already. More are coming in every day, and city inspectors are hard at work making sure that as many of these as possible are ready to go when we get to phase 2 of stage 1, which is restaurants and hair salons, which will be on, hopefully, maybe, on Monday. I want to talk about, of all things, e-scooters. So part of our conversations around gentle easing of restrictions and making it easier for people to get around while being physically distanced have been around e-scooters. Alberta Health Services has now given approval to allow these e-scooters to come back. They will come back for the first month on a trial basis with 150 scooters per company, which is certainly less than you would have seen last summer. But the operators, too, are going to try some new enhanced safety guidelines, which they're going to test out with that smaller fleet. Couple of things you need to know about e-scooters. We're going to have slow speed zones this year in Mission, Kensington, and Inglewood. You can't go more than 15 kilometers an hour in those places. The fines have gone up. So one of the things that we learned last year is that law-abiding scooter operators wanted us to actually go after the scofflaws. So $75 to $400 now, $75 if you're doubling. Remember, only one person can be on the device at a time. $75 using it where prohibited, $150 for interfering with sidewalk users, $400 for reckless driving, $400 for colliding with a pedestrian. Now, one of the concerns that we have heard on these scooters is when people leave them all over the place, when they block the sidewalk. It's not a nice thing to do. It makes it hard for people with disabilities, for seniors, for others to use the sidewalk. So you will have the opportunity now, this is new, to use share and go zones. Those little curbside parkings that we used to use for the small car to go smart cars will now be available in some cases for scooters, and you will see those painted in the weeks ahead. That gives a little more certainty to people who are looking for a scooter. Now, if you can't find one of those zones, you can still leave your scooter in other places. You don't have to go to one of those zones. But I'm telling you now, the front part of the sidewalk, what we call the furniture zone, where you see trees, where you leave your green, blue, black carts, or where there are bike racks, not on the bike rack, obviously. These are the sort of places where you want to leave this. Now, I have to tell you this. These are shared devices. They are high touch zones. Someone will have touched that before you. They are not sanitized between users. So you are taking a risk, and you need to mitigate that risk. You have to use hand sanitizer on your hands, give the handlebars and other touch areas a quick wipe down before and after use. Really, really, really try hard not to touch your face when you're out on the scooter. Don't wipe your brow when you're stopped at a light. Make sure you keep that 2-meter distance between all other road users, including pedestrians and other riders. And again, no doubling. These are single-use scooters. You will get a ticket if you're seen doubling. It's dangerous, it violates physical distancing, and it's against the bylaws. So don't do that. And yes, you cannot have a child on the scooter with you, which is a common infraction that we saw last summer. So the idea here, and I want to be clear about this, is the return of the e-scooters doesn't mean, hey, everybody, take a fun scooter ride. It's a free-for-all. The return of these scooters really does mean that last summer we saw them as an important and interesting part of our transportation network to help people, especially people living in communities like the Beltline, run their errands and get around. And that really is what this is about. So don't think this means everybody can go down, meet all their friends and go for a scooter ride downtown. That's still not advised. So March 15th, we launched the state of local emergency. We saw some terrifyingly large case numbers. We've been hit by the largest single location outbreak in North America. We've lost 92 of our friends, and we've been stalked by an enemy that we can't see. But at this stage, as we start to think about the way forward, I do want to say that what I have seen from citizens in Calgary is extraordinary resolve, an extraordinary ability to take some sacrifices, to change the way that we do life, to give up some of the things we take for granted that were suddenly gone, and to do what's asked of us to keep ourselves, our families, and the community safe. And you've proven, Calgarians, that you've done the right thing, and I'm very proud. So as we move towards easing restrictions a little bit more, which could come as early as Monday, I want to remind you once again that we have to double down. That the low numbers we're seeing now are from 2 weeks ago. And as we ease restrictions, it's not go time. It is not let her rip time. It is time for us to be able to say, all right, let's start to reopen the economy. Let's start to give activities to people so that they're not feeling like they're enclosed at home. But you got to keep your distance. You got to wear a face covering when you're out somewhere where you're going to be close to people you don't know. You should download the app, the Alberta Trace Together app. And I understand it's going to work better on the iPhone with the newest update. And make sure that we're able to do contact tracing. All of this stuff really matters. And so fundamentally, the things I said on March 15th are the same things I say today. It's about clean hands, doing everything you can to avoid the spread of the disease, acting like you already have it and you don't want to spread it, acting like everyone you come into contact with is your 90-year-old grandmother, that it's somebody at risk. Clear heads. Every decision you make, every step you take should have a COVID filter on it. Is this right for my health, my family's health, and the health of the community? Open hearts. We must always be reaching out to one another, helping people know they're not isolated, especially as we're starting to ease restrictions. There are people for whom the restrictions are not eased. People with pre-existing conditions, people in long-term care. These things are not eased for them. And so we have to reach out to them even more than we have been to help them understand that we are there for them and that they are not alone. So as I've been saying, we all have to stay safe. We have to be kind to everyone, and together we'll continue to save lives. So I wanted to answer, before we go to the questions on the line, I did want to try to readdress the question of day camps. So if all goes well, day camps will be allowed in Calgary on June 1st. As far as the City of Calgary's camps are concerned, our colleagues are trying to figure out if it's feasible and practical to be able to offer camps that will be entirely outdoors, that will keep the children spaced 2 meters apart, but still offer them a good experience. And so the City of Calgary and my colleagues who run a very large camp program are working hard to figure out what camps work in that area. It does mean on a day like today, on a rain day, there's no indoor plans, they are canceled. Now I know that a lot of private operators are looking at being able to operate day camps within community association facilities as well. So I would really strongly urge you to look at bizconnect.alberta.gov.ab.ca. I think that's it, right? BizConnect with a Z. If you just Google relaunch guidelines Alberta, you'll find it. And there are very specific guidelines for different kinds of businesses. Now, the question I don't know the answer to, Tom, that you do, is what about community association buildings and facilities? Those buildings have largely been closed. Are they able to reopen for these kinds of purposes? Okay, so the answer, if you didn't hear it, is that community facilities are able to open for permitted activities. And so, for example, the Y cannot open as a swimming pool and a gym, but they can open as a childcare center now. The physiotherapists inside the Y can open. So community facilities can do that as well. Remember that the indoor restrictions are much harder than the outdoor restrictions. And all of those guidelines are available at bizconnect.gov.ab.ca. But again, and you can also email bizconnect@gov.alberta.ca. BizConnect is B-I-Z Connect. And they're very good about answering these questions. Okay, so with that, we will go to the questions on the line. Operator, first call, please.
Our first question comes from Tom Ross of 660 News. Your line is open.
Hi there. For the mayor, I'm just asking about transit a little bit more. There's been a bit of hubbub in Edmonton about the possibility of transit service being canceled, even though the mayor kind of shot it down. Can you ensure that there won't be any cancellation overall of transit service in Calgary? And also on that note, are you looking for some more outside support from other governments due to the financial situation with transit?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer both of those questions. And let me tell you, politicians around the country sort of went gasp when we saw what poor Mayor Iverson had gotten himself into. He was not suggesting canceling transit. He was talking about the incredible financial concerns that we have, and we have them here in Calgary as well. We're losing about 10 million a week, more than that actually, 12 million a week, I believe, on lost ridership in transit. Our ridership is down 90%, and we've had to make cuts both to service as well as, of course, letting 400 of our colleagues go on temporary layoff. These are hard, hard choices because transit is an essential service. There's still 100,000 boardings a day. And those people are not boarding because they love buses and trains. They're boarding because they're giving us essential services and they've got to go to work. And as we ease restrictions, as we see more retailers opening and so on, we're going to have to give the people who work there the chance to get to work in a reasonable way. So no, we will never shut down transit in this pandemic. We are very concerned with making sure that it remains a service for people. But financially, it's very difficult. We are bleeding money. And ultimately, the federal and provincial governments, we've never asked them for help with our operating budgets before. We manage our own operating budgets using property taxes and user fees like transit fares. But right now, for us to maintain this essential service so that people can get to where they need to go, they can go to the doctor, they can go to work, they can provide those essential services, we need help. And we need the province and the federal governments to understand that this is an issue of significant urgency, and we've got to have that help soon. Did you have a follow-up, Tom?
Yeah, on the same note as well, as we see some of the restrictions eased, we are going to see more people on transit no matter what. Is there a bit of a contradiction if some services are slashed and, you know, how long are these distancing requirements going to remain on transit? Is this really long term, even if the buses and trains are filled up more?
So I was actually on a phone call today with mayors from across North America having this exact conversation. So number one, cover your face. That's incredibly important. Right now on the transit vehicles, there are stickers blocking off every second seat. There is an attempt to have people sit and not stand to maintain some physical distancing. It's not a perfect 2 meters or a Samson and a half, but there is some attempt to do that. This stuff's really important, and it's critical for us to be able to make sure that people are comfortable in taking transit. It remains a safe alternative, but I'm asking people, just like if you're going to take a scooter, you got to take some responsibility for your own safety. And my hope is that as the economy reopens, transit will come right back with it. We are being incredibly resilient on this and adding and subtracting service as we understand people's usage, and we will continue to do so, but we do need that financial assistance as well. All right, next question, please.
Our next question comes from Madeline Smith of the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hi, Mayor. I'm just wondering, since we are, I guess, 4 days away from Calgary potentially moving up to the next stage, how confident are you that the city is ready to see more businesses reopen at this point?
The capital C city is ready. We've done lots of work and lots of preparation to make sure we're ready, so that the last question on transit is part of that as well. The real critical thing that we've been trying to do is to help businesses be ready to make their choice. They don't have to reopen. But for some businesses, that is the right thing to do. And I've heard from a lot that they're saying, you know, that's not actually right for my business. That's okay too. But we have worked with the province and with businesses directly through our Business Sector Support Task Force to give them the tools and guidelines they need to make that decision. Now, I'm sure that restaurants, after what happened last week, probably are not going to order a bunch of food until after they hear tomorrow afternoon. So you may not see a whole bunch of them open on Monday. You may see some opening over the few days after that. You may see some saying, you know what, I'm going to hold back for dine-in services until I see what's happening with some of the bigger chains that are opening. And all of that is okay. And I think that we are ready to go. Exact same thing with hairstylists. The hairstylists have done a really good job on sharing best practices with one another and managing their flows. So I'm hopeful that if that news comes tomorrow, we've done what we can to help businesses be ready. Did you have a follow-up, Madeline?
Yes, just as well on the topic of transit, you know, we've talked about the Green Line quite a bit in these briefings, but as people are seeing some of the effects that COVID-19 is having on transit ridership, you know, they're saying things like, this is going to change the city forever. People aren't going to be commuting into downtown anymore. And, you know, people aren't going to want to be on transit anymore and are basically questioning the use of the Green Line and why the city is moving ahead with it. So I guess, what's your response to people who think that transit might sort of be dead after this whole pandemic?
Well, you know, in January, those exact same people were saying self-autonomous, self-driving vehicles are coming and transit will be dead. You know, people who want to kill transit will find excuses to say why we shouldn't invest in transit. At the end of the day, nobody's got a crystal ball. But I will tell you that for every person who has said to me working from home is going to become a permanent thing, I've had a business say to me, we need the people face to face, and in fact, they need more room to meet face to face, because right now putting people in big open spaces is not safe for illness and transmission. So nobody's got the crystal ball. Here's what I do know. Geometry never changes. Euclid was right. So in short, there's only so many lanes of traffic and so many bridges coming into the center city. And maybe how the center city looks will be different, how the downtown core works will be different, but ultimately people will still want to come there. And we're not going to build tons more bridges and tons more roads to bring people downtown to a place where they can't park their vehicle. So the transit investments are important investments. And you know what? This is the right time to do it. People need to get to work. The Green Line will create 20,000 jobs. So it'll help a lot with the unemployment situation. Right now, construction costs are cheap. Commodity prices are a bit lower. Cost of materials is lower. So if you're building a giant project, this is exactly the moment in which to do it and to start procuring it. Council will make a decision in the next 3 weeks on proceeding with the Green Line, and I sure hope and I'm confident that they'll do the right thing and build the transit that people have been waiting decades for. All right, next question, please.
Our next question comes from Scott Dipple of CBC. Your line is open.
Hi, I have a question for Tom Sampson. There was a ticket apparently that was given to a person, I believe it was by the police last weekend, for failing to maintain physical distancing in a Calgary park, and they were out kicking around a soccer ball with their kids. And I'm just wondering if you know anything about that incident, but also can you just spell out what the current rules are regarding that activity in city parks? Thank you.
Thanks. I am aware a little bit about the ticket. The complainant also chose to write to me. Unfortunately, I'm not able to speak to that matter. That's a police matter. What I can assure you and assure the complainant that I did was that I forwarded that letter off to the highest level in the Calgary Police Service, and that individual has undertaken to have a chat and to see if it unfolded exactly the way that the complainant alleges. Here's what I can tell you about playing in the park. A family unit could go to a park with a ball and can kick it back and forth. That family unit, that cohort, can do those sorts of things. The game of soccer is actually banned, and so that's a sport that's very difficult to play. You can do the skills training around soccer. You can run some of the skills camps around soccer. But the actual game of soccer is not permitted at this time.
Next question, please.
Our next question comes from Darren Krause of Livewire. Your line is open.
Hi there. Thanks very much for taking the question. I just wanted to follow up really quickly on the e-scooters. I know that you had mentioned that we would start off with 150. Are we expecting that after we assess that situation, that we're immediately going to go into the regular amount, or are we going to see a graduated approach all summer long?
Maybe one, maybe the other. So what I understand is that there is a plan for there had been a plan for graduated approach kind of every 2 weeks, and the thought was that that was getting a bit complicated, and we'll do fewer steps. So if things go very, very well in the first month, it's not out of imagination that we'll just go straight to a much larger number, or there may be graduated steps. It all depends on whether the companies are able to maintain the new cleaning and safety protocols that they are proposing. Follow up?
Sure. In regards to Cascade, any update on that situation there? Are people going to be able to put out their blue bins here in the upcoming week?
The Cascade situation has been somewhat troubling, and as of today, there are 45 cases of COVID from individuals who have been there. And what I can tell you is that that company has done its work, and so these are cases or exposures that probably occurred before that time. And so the facility is operating at about 50%. And, you know, we're hopeful that their numbers will go up. What I can say to the public is that you can put out your blue bin recycling. And if we can possibly take it to Cascade and have it recycled, we will be doing that. If you want to hold on to it, that obviously would make it easier. And I know this is the second week that we've suggested to you, maybe you could hold on to it. But it is a bit of a challenge right now, but we're on the right track. And I can tell you that the company has chatted with our folks in Waste and Recycling Services, indicating that they're optimistic that they're on their way to a better situation.
Next question, please.
Our next question comes from Kyle Bowden of CTV. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. We're seeing photos of flooding at Confederation Park. We understand that this area flooded pretty badly last year, and obviously there's flooding going on this year. We're wondering if this is a concern for the city, and with the amount of rain that is in the forecast for Calgary, what concerns do you have about additional flooding across the city?
Yeah, thanks very much. So the specific answer on the Confederation Park watershed is that, believe it or not, that is not uncommon. In some ways, that park serves as a catchment for flash flooding, preventing it from going into streets and people's homes. So it sounds funny to say, but that's the park working as designed. And if it gets much, much worse, of course, it can damage the park. But amounts that we've seen, we're not that concerned about. Now, of course, it is raining. And certainly the snowpack that we've seen in the mountains is a little bit above average. And so this is always a concern at this time of year. Flash flooding in Calgary, flooding from the rain, is not as much of a concern. The city is well designed with storm ponds, with areas that catch the road. Even in fact, in my neighborhood, the road in front of my house is one of those areas. And it looks pretty scary while it's raining, but that kind of holds the water for a bit and then drains it away as it gets better. So we don't generally worry that much about the flash flooding side of things. What we do worry about is river flooding. And the river flooding can come from the rain. It can also come from rain on snow in the snowbanks in the mountains. So we continue to monitor this very carefully. This amount of rain probably is not going to be a huge problem, but obviously it's something that we look at very closely throughout the flooding season from mid-May to mid-July. Did you have any more recent stuff to add to that, Tom? Yeah, go ahead.
So just to add to the mayor's comments on this issue, certainly SEMA has held a meeting with its agency partners to refresh ourselves on our flood activities and our flood preparedness, which of course all is led by our water services group within the city of Calgary. So we're ready. The Glenmore Reservoir has got is drained low, and that's why it's closed. But it's also got extra gates on it, so allowing it to hold 25% more capacity. By the way, this doesn't mean we don't need SR1. We do need SR1 because the Glenmore actually doesn't hold as much water as we might think. And on the system up towards Lake Minnewanka, TransAlta has got all of those areas at a lower level, being ready for the rain. So we've done the exercises. We're physically positioned to have rainfall. We're monitoring the rainfall right now as it occurs. We understand the majority of that rain will be along the number 2 highway. And the final thing that I'd say, in addition to the mayor's comments, this is a great opportunity to go around your house, make sure your downspouts are down, make sure your water is moving away from your house, not towards your house. If you have a backflow preventer, it's a great time to clean it. That's not a pretty job, but good to have a clean backflow preventer. It's a good time if you have a sump pump in your basement to double check your sump pump, make sure it's working, make sure it's powered appropriately. And if you're in an area that for some reason you rely on the potential of a generator, to make sure your generator runs and that you've got that capacity to have your system pumped as required in the event of a heavy rainfall. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom, and thank you for reminding me that crud, I did not reconnect my downspouts. Guess I'm going to be going out in the rain this afternoon when I get out there. We'll go to the next question, please.
Our next question comes from Tracy Nagai from Global News. Your line is open.
Hi there. I was just wondering, considering that we're waiting tomorrow to get this final approval on whether restaurants and other businesses will be able to reopen their doors next week, if perhaps there was a more streamlined approach to doing all of this. It seems that a lot of businesses are gearing up to hopefully reopen, and then they're sort of at a standstill, and we saw what happened last week as well.
Yeah, this really is a question for the province, and I have shared my concerns with the province about the way that works last week. I didn't think that businesses were, in fact, given enough notice. So now they're giving at least the weekend, which I think is way better, because I have sympathy for the fact that they want to use the latest and greatest data in order to make these kinds of decisions. But at the same time, businesses can't start and stop on a dime. You got to hire staff, you got to buy inventory, and so on. So hopefully this will be better. Now, the next stage for Calgary and Brooks doesn't really involve very many businesses. It's about schools, day camps, and places of worship. So it should be less of an issue going forward. Now, there are businesses that would be up for opening in stage 2, but stage 2 will not happen for at least another few weeks. So hopefully the province will be able to get out some of the challenges in its process by then. So with that, did you have a follow-up, Tracy?
Yeah, and I'm just changing the topic here now. I'm wondering if there's any more information about minor sports, when they might resume, and what the city would do to make sure that people are complying.
I'll start the answer to that question, and then Tom may want to jump in on that, which is league sport and team sport is very unlikely for this summer. We're going to lose this season. But what we tried to do is be very open, as Tom was saying earlier, with the different sport federations to say, listen, come up with some rules on things you can do, like skills camps, for example. That's the example we keep using, is can you do a soccer skill camp where people can practice their ball handling skills, maybe even their passing skills, but you're not actually playing a game of soccer where everyone is too close to one another, especially for little kids, right? Because they all run around and chase the ball together. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to do some things like that so people can get some exercise and can get some skills training. But for the majority of sports, I don't see actual league play and team play happening this summer. Tom, is there anything you wanted to add on that?
City of Calgary has meetings with Sport Calgary, and the group has been established for review.
Yes, thanks. We're very lucky in Calgary to have an organization called Sport Calgary that acts as a bit of an umbrella organization for different sports. A lot of cities would kill to have such great resources in the city, and Sport Calgary is meeting with the City of Calgary Recreation Department very, very frequently and with the various sporting communities to figure out how to move forward on that. Operator, how many more questions have you got in the queue there?
There are 3.
Let's do them. I'll try and answer quick, and so will Tom. We'll go to the next one.
Our next question comes from Daniel Austin of the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hi, Mayor Nenshi. Speaking with bars and restaurants along Stephen Avenue, there seems to be considerable support for trying to make Stephen Avenue pedestrian only this summer, just to help them out. Is that something that you are considering? And I mean, do you think it's a good idea?
For every restaurant that says they want to be pedestrian only, I hear from a restaurant that says it is critical that people are able to drop off clientele in front of their door, and that the cab and street parking is also required for their businesses. And I remember when I was a kid and Stephen Avenue was pedestrian only 24/7, the restaurants did not thrive. In fact, it was not a good place to go. So we'll certainly do some experiments. We'll certainly do street festivals if we can this summer, if physical distancing guidelines allow for that. But ultimately, I'm very open to listening to what the restaurants are wanting to do and getting their input. But there's no plans that I know of in place for that right this minute. Did you have a follow-up?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Our next question comes from Madeline Smith of the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hi again. Sorry, I just wanted to follow up a little bit about the e-scooters. So you said that there will be 150 scooters from each company to start out, I believe. I know last year we had 2 companies, and I think this year there was a third that was looking at joining in. Is that the case?
My understanding is it's the same 2 companies as last year.
Okay. And also...
Or I should say, sorry, Madeline, that our pilot project does allow for more. So if there were others that wanted to enter the market, they could certainly contact the city and we could talk about terms and conditions.
Okay, but basically as of tomorrow, we're looking at 300 scooters across the city.
300 max.
Right. Okay. And then do you have a number of how many total kilometers of road the city has sort of closed or repurposed for physical distancing purposes? I know you don't like to talk about the specific locations of those sort of pedestrian areas, but is there a total at this point?
I don't have it in front of me, Madeline. I see Tom looking for it now. If we have it before the end of this call, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, we'll send that information out to you. I have 21 in my head, but that's probably totally wrong. So let's see if we can find the real number for you. Okay, we'll go to our final question, please.
Final question is from Scott Dipple of CBC. Your line is open.
And just to look into the crystal ball, Mayor, but you heard the CFL's plans for a tentative schedule for this fall. Do you see McMahon Stadium being used for organized professional sports in September, or is that too early to say?
Too early to say. So much of this depends on medical treatments and vaccines. Will there be a vaccine by September? Doubtful. Though I was on a call today with, of all people, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who seemed a little more optimistic on the timeline for a vaccine than I've heard people say in the last few months. But if there's not effective treatments for people who get COVID or an effective vaccine, and if we continue to see some cases of community transmission, in other words, we're not like New Zealand or Australia where they're hoping as island nations to be able to just squash it. It's hard for me to imagine people in that close proximity in those numbers in McMahon Stadium. Could we open McMahon Stadium on a partial basis and have a lot of physical distancing between people? Look, anything's possible, but today it's too early to tell. Did you have a follow-up?
But sorry, just to be clear, is it possible then without any fans in the stands, do you think, or not?
Oh, yeah. That is almost possible now. It would be possible for a team that is smaller than a football team because right now you can have 50 people gathering outdoors. If the CFL were to find a model to play without any fans in the stands, I think that is certainly something that we could look at doing, this summer even. The challenge, as you know, as we've heard from the commissioner, is that the CFL relies on gate revenue much more than other leagues do. So, you are probably more likely to see other leagues continue to play without fans in the stands. But listen, we're open to having those conversations. And as you know, I'm a big football fan, a big CFL fan. So that would make me very excited if we could salvage the season in that way. Okay, so we'll stop there, everyone. Thank you so much for everything. But again, remember as we go into this rainy weekend, well, hopefully it'll be nicer by the weekend. Stay safe, be kind to everyone. Together we'll save lives. Thank you all.